Welcome to Creating Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Paige. This is an inspirational podcast where guests come on and share their real life stories. They discuss their struggles, hardships, and traumas. They also discuss how those encounters have helped them change, grow, and the healing process they've experienced. They share where they are today in hopes of helping someone else who could be going through the same or similar situations. So join me as we inspire others weekly to become the best versions of themselves. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Creating Yourself podcast with me, your host Paige. Today I am super excited to have Elise on with me. She is going to talk to us about her story. Hey Elise, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm super excited to hear your story and just chat with us about everything. So I'll just let you get started.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm honestly super excited to be here. Thanks for allowing me the space to come on here. And hopefully we can all just get a little bit of healing out of today as well. I think that's my main goal is when we share our stories, there's a sense of community and it takes away that sense of loneliness. Right. So I'm really hoping that that's what comes out of here today.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am a childhood trauma survivor, a narcissistic abuse survivor, a sexual assault trauma survivor. I have quite a few terms of survivor underneath my belt, and it's been quite a journey from childhood up until now.
Yeah.
And as any woman listening to this podcast and who can relate, it's a roller coaster ride to get to that place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, my healing journey finally started at the age of 26 when I left a covert narcissist that I was with for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time in my life that actually I walked away from a relationship.
Right.
Because I was just so desperate for somebody to love me.
Right.
And that I would literally stay with anybody. And this was my first time actually ending a relationship, especially one that was that long and that significant.
Yeah. How long was that relationship?
It was a roller coaster. I was raised, this whole journey has taught me that there's so many different varying types of narcissism. I was raised by an overt narcissist. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it didn't occur to me that the polar opposite could exist of covert narcissist, which was narcissist in disguise. So that was a shocker when I got out of the relationship. And I was like, what? There's so many different kinds? All right. It's almost like Pokemon, but for narcissism and mental personality disorders.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. And my relationship in that 8 years was effing crazy. And by the time I got out of it, I had no idea who I was. I had no idea right from wrong. I didn't even know my favorite color. That's how jacked my brain was from all of the gaslighting and all of the abuse. I had no idea what my favorite color was.
Yeah.
And I just lost so many aspects of myself to the point that I just didn't even know how to function after I got out of that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my abusive relationship was narcissistic as shit, it was cut you off from everybody you can't go here, you can't do this, you can't wear that, you can't, it never came down to don't really eat this, but I mean, maybe it did, I don't know. I feel like that point in my life and that time frame, so much of it is blacked out and I don't remember it. And it's I did on my first season, my very first episode, I covered the first half of our relationship, and then the last episode of season 1 I did the second half of our relationship, and I literally had to sit and go back through Facebook photos to really get a timeline of when things kind of happened, because I was like, I don't remember. And it wasn't until that point in time and where I really didn't remember significant memories. Like I remembered things. I remembered us going here and doing that and, you know, things happening. But it wasn't until I sat down and tried to like record that episode for myself that I was like, wait a minute, I really don't remember. Like I don't remember things. And it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was wild.
I think, and I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery coach now for these reasons, but when I dove into the research, nobody talks about how much brain damage, literal brain damage, you come out with from an abusive relationship. Like PTSD is very real. And it wasn't until like, I would say 6 months after I left and I was like deep into like, you know, the healing journey and actually working with a coach who specialized in it, that I realized that he was a rapist and that I was sexually abused the entire time during our relationship.
Oh gosh.
It wasn't until 6 months into working with a professional that I understood why I was so terrified of being intimate with somebody.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds crazy because it's like, you know, how can you not realize it at that time? How can you not realize it at that time?
Yeah.
And it was really like the frog in the boiling pot method. He would push to an edge of the boundary. I would say no. And he would back off. He would push it again. I would say no. He would back off less. And he would just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until I just gave up. And he did that with every single boundary that I had. And it got to the point that my no's meant absolutely nothing.
Did they turn into yeses or were they still no's? He just didn't listen.
Both. He used coercion. So my no's basically meant nothing. Or he would do this like really like, oh my gosh, am I allowed to cuss on your show?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, cool. He would do this really fucked up thing. I didn't know. I was like, you know what? I better ask for permission first. He would do this really fucked up thing where if he did not get what he wanted from me, he would stop talking to me until I apologized profusely and gave it to him.
Yeah.
He would scream at me and call me names until I, you know, basically I was like, okay, stop. Like, fine, I'll give you what you want. Like, he would emotionally and mentally abuse me until I let him sexually abuse me. But it's like when you're in it, you don't see it like that.
Yeah.
And it's not like until you come out of it on the other side and you're just like, I let him do that to me.
Yep.
And you're just like, you just don't even know who you are or if like, you know, you can heal from something like that. Because that sexual abuse went on for years, close to a decade. And I'm just like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what did I allow to happen to myself?
Yeah, I've never really experienced sexual assault. Mine was always mental, emotional, and physical. You know.
Oh.
But I have another podcast that I do with a friend, and she has a lot of childhood sexual assault and adult as well. And we've talked about it on this podcast. Actually, she was on for an episode, and we've talked about it on ours. We talked about it last month too, because last month, you know, it was Sexual Assault Awareness Month in April, which this will probably come out before it's whatever. It'll be like in June, so it'll be 2 months ago, but whatever. So, you know, she's been through a lot with it, and we talked. I mean, she's very open and honest about her experiences and what she's been through. But it's just crazy to me that, you know, you look back and now that she's really doing the healing work, and she has been for a couple of years, that she sees how her behaviors as an adult stems from all of that, you know? it's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And being a coach now, coming out on the other side of it, like I'm in such a healthy and happy relationship now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in such a healthy and happy relationship with myself too,
Mm-hmm.
that coming out on the other side of this and seeing my clients readdressing their trauma, it's like, for anybody listening and who resonates with, you know, sexual abuse trauma and sexual assault trauma, it's like, it is possible to heal from it. Like, this does not have to taint you for the rest of your life. Like, I have such a healthy relationship with my new partner who respects my boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And being intimate with him is way less intimidating than it used to be. Like, healing is absolutely possible with the right person. And you can have that healthy relationship again with somebody who genuinely cares about you. So if anybody walks away with this episode with anything, I at least want it to be that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not still haunted every day like I used to be by this trauma.
Mm-hmm. So how did you, when you guys, your new relationship, and how did you walk into that with him and being like, I have all of this trauma, to where you're at now?
Yeah, and I might start to cry a little bit.
Listen,
my partner and I have been together now for a little over.
It's okay.
It's part
You
of
won't
the
be the first.
process.
You won't be the first. You won't be the last. I'm just gonna assure you that.
My partner, I've been with him for now over a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we got together like on our second date. Because, you know, I didn't want to freak this poor guy out on the first day with all this stuff. Like, oh, yeah, here's my baggage.
Right. Yeah.
But we're grown-ass adults. We need to have conversations about stuff. We don't need to live in our past.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something that's still, like, affecting us, like, our partners need to know about it. And so I just want to give him a heads up of what he, you know, if he chose a relationship with me, what he might be getting himself into. So I was very candid. I don't sugarcoat things. And I told him the truth. I was like, look, my last relationship was the worst I've ever been in. 8 years of abuse. And I point blank told him I was sexually abused the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you walk away from this, I totally understand.
Right.
Like, I gave him the option. I understand if somebody is like, you know what, that's not something I'm prepared to handle. Like, that's fair and that's fine. Thank you for being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he asked me very frankly, he's like, well, are you at least working on, you know, healing it? And I said, yes, absolutely. He's like, well, that's my boundary. Like, you can't just come into a relationship, have all this stuff, and then not address it. I'm like, yeah, that's not a healthy dynamic. That's fair. He's like, as long as you keep healing it and keep working on it, like, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
So it was very, like, mutual understanding. The first time he and I were, you know, together, intimate, it was planned. It was very planned. Like, this is what's okay with me. This is what's not okay with me. Like, there was a whole 3-hour conversation before we actually started, like, making a date and a time to meet. Because I really needed to have that roadmap. I couldn't walk into something that was, like, unknown.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense, too, though. And I feel like finding someone who's willing to do that is extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah, he has really been, like, going through the journey with me, and he saw firsthand how much that this can mentally affect a person. And it actually gave him more compassion. Which I think was, like, so beautiful.
Is there a store? Is there more of him?
I know. Yes, there is. There is. And that's something that I really want to stress to my clients, too, and to anybody listening, because in society today, we have such a concept that those men don't exist anymore, or those types of partners don't exist anymore. And I just want to point out a reality. It's like, you're like that, right? Like, you understand somebody's trauma and you work with them.
Yeah.
It's mathematically impossible for you to be the only person who is like that.
Right.
The math isn't there. The math doesn't support that belief, that limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And before him, I was in 5 abusive relationships, like back to back to back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was still able to find, like, you know, that beautiful flower in the weeds. It's absolutely possible for anybody.
Yeah. Man, I don't know where they're at, though. They're hard to find.
I found mine on Bumble, so...
I've
My gosh, no, the way I jokingly say I manifested him, but I was literally tipsy at my best friend's house, bored, and I was like, I'm just gonna join a dating app, and I just swiped right on him because he was cute, and I was like, all right, see what happens.
Yeah, listen, I've tried all the dating websites. I've tried meeting someone through like TikTok, all of that stuff, and none of it has ever worked. So, you know, I don't know.
Yes, this is like literally my area of specialty. I help my clients find really healthy relationships. Like, this is something that, like, I'm really proud to say that I worked hard to do, and I jokingly call myself the red flag sniffer. And
Yeah.
you get to a point where you're able to sniff out really weird red flags on the first date.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just able to, like, rule them out and become detached. Like, it can happen, and it does happen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna need you to like find me, just go on all my like dates with me, and just be my matchmaker because I can't do it.
Girl, I can teach you to do it. I absolutely can.
Yeah, I need to know because listen, I've had 4 serious relationships and they just, I don't know what it is. Like I feel like, and I know that like everybody says this, like I feel like it's me. I feel like it's my fault, but like it just, I don't know.
You know what? Let's talk about the 5 most common red flags on a first date. How does that sound?
Fabulous.
Like, yeah, sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, and these come from like very real experiences and what I used to avoid toxic relationships now. So,
Right.
number 1, if they will not shut up about their ex, their exes are all crazy, or their exes are still obsessed with them. Like, it's weird. Why are we talking about our exes on a first date?
Yeah.
Like, nonstop. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, if they're really, really, really show-offy unnecessarily. So they ask you out on a first date, and now they're taking you to, like, the fanciest dinner place or, like, the fanciest restaurants.
Right.
Everything has to be fancy. That's weird. It's a first date. Like, why are you trying to impress somebody so hard?
True. Yeah. Plus, I feel like first dates like shouldn't be. We talked about this last week, actually, on the podcast that I do with my friend. Why, like, first dates should be casual, low key, like not expensive, because it doesn't need to be like that anyway.
Yeah, because anything above that is considered love bombing, and it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, stop being so flashy on a first date. Like, chill.
Yeah.
So, that's number 2. Number 3 is if they are really, really, really obsessed with their looks or their money. So same thing with the ex. If they will not shut up about how often they're hitting the gym, what designer brands they're wearing, how much money they make, what they do for a living, blah, 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 blah. Like, sis, run. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm really excited about being a personal trainer. This is why I love my job. Like, passion is totally different than, oh yeah, I make $80,000 a month and I just really like making money and blah, 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 blah. It's like, read the room, 2 different energies.
Yeah.
Number 4, how are they talking to other people around you? Like, how are they talking to the waiter or the waitress? How are they talking to the bartender? How are they talking about people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really be watchful about how they're talking to and about other people.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, really lets you know their mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then number 5 is if they're either totally disengaged from the conversation, on their phone a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or actively hitting on somebody else right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds so obvious, but you would be amazed by how many clients come to me and they're like, oh, I just thought he was trying to make me jealous. It's like, no, honey, he's just
An ass.
a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are my very common top 5 red flags on a first date.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that, like, you always sniff for, and they usually make themselves pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Plus I live in like a small area, like, small town, small area, and it's just, I feel like I've outgrown the like dating area here. So, I don't know. It's just I'm just
I get
over
it.
it.
I actually found my man who lives like 35 minutes away from me in another city.
Mhm. Yeah. It's just not there's just not much here.
Like, okay, so kind of like describe your city.
So I live outside in a smaller city close to Lexington, Kentucky. So it's like a bigger city, but then we have like Louisville, Kentucky, which is like big city. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like we have Louisville and then you have Lexington, and I live right outside of Lexington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want some good news?
Sure.
100% of the people that come to me that say they can't find anybody in the area
Mhm.
end up finding somebody either in the area or just outside of the area.
Yeah. I don't know.
And and like
I
this
have
is
a hard
something
time
that, like,
believing it. Listen, I have a hard time believing it because I've
no,
just I
I
don't know.
totally understand. I totally
Yeah.
understand because, like, I've been a coach for God, a little over like 2 years now, actively in business for a little over a year.
Mhm.
And this is what I tell my clients to kind of reassure them, because as domestic abuse survivors and as childhood trauma survivors, our bodies get used to chaos, and that becomes our body's version of like homeostasis.
Mhm.
And because our bodies and our brains do not like change, they're going to do whatever it takes to stay in that constant state of like chaos, including
Mhm.
finding really toxic partners. So, red flags for us we're almost colorblind to them because it's what we're so used to in our
They're pink
subconscious
and
brain.
shiny and they're pretty.
Yeah, and it's normal for us because we're used to the
Yeah.
chaos and we're almost addicted to the chaos. But
Mhm.
when we start rewiring that subconscious mind and we start rewiring our nervous system with it, we start seeing the difference between red flags and green flags and beige flags. Like, I promise it does happen, and it's absolutely possible.
Yeah. Like I feel like I'm at a point where like I've come from a really deep dark depression. Like I said, I was in for like 9 months. I didn't get out of bed. Like I worked. So I went to work, Monday through Friday, and I did what I had to do to support like me and my kids. I have 2 kids, 13 and 8, getting ready to be 14 and 9. And so, but on the weekends when they're not here, in my bed, curtains closed, doors shut, dark room, watch TV or be on my phone for 9 months. That's all I did. Like, and I, little to no
Oh,
eating. Like, I ate what I had to not have a splitting headache all the time. Um,
yeah.
and I really looked at starting this podcast, and when I did, like, that's when it slowly started to come out, and I started to come out of it because it was like, I really found this love for listening to other people's stories, and not like, oh, I'm not the only one with trauma, and oh, I'm not the only one who's been through shit, but like,
Yeah.
knowing that other people out there can relate to this, and like I'm helping someone else know that they're not alone. You know what I mean? Like that sort of kind of gratification, I guess, but it's not even for me, it's for other people as well. And it really helped me like reset my mind to know like, okay, I really don't have it that bad. Like this person has had it so much worse than me in life. And like, you know, I looked at different situations a lot differently just because of certain things that people would say that I was like talking to, like you know what I mean? And it really made me go, oh shit, you know, like it made me rewire, like you said, rewire certain things in my brain to be like, I got to think about this differently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
one guest that I had on, and this is the one I always go back to when I talk about it, is she was in a active recovery. She'd been in addiction for a very long time. And I have a
Oh.
friend that I've known for, God, almost 20 years now. We've been friends since I was a senior in high school. And he's just been in this up and down, in and out of my life. Great guy, great person, amazing heart, give you the shirt off his back kind of person. But he's always in and out of jail, in and out of doing drugs. And he's been in jail now for going on 4 years. When I started this, it was 3, because I'm just past a year of doing this. And the way she talked about recovery and addiction, I've always been that person that's like, doing drugs is a choice. It's not a disease. I've always been that person. And
And yeah, that's so like, and it's such a controversial thing, right?
right. And I've always been very open about that's how I felt. That's just how I felt. And I have family members that have been an addict. My abusive relationship, he was an addict. And I always looked at it as, you chose to do this and you're still choosing to do this. Like that's just how I always felt. And something about the way she told her story and the way that she talked to me and the way that she just explained things, I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
not a choice. It's not. Like
Yeah.
this is different. And I hadn't talked to him in 3 years. I went 3 years no contact with him, and he was in prison. And when I got done with her that day, I sent him $5. I found out where he was and I sent him $5 because I knew if I sent him money, he'd be like, what the hell? Why did she send me money? And he would try to call me. And he finally called me about 3 weeks later and he was like, why did you send me $5? And I was like, I have to forgive you for everything you've ever put me through and everything you've ever done. Not for you, but for me. And we've
Yeah.
been rebuilding our friendship since then. And I never thought that I would ever speak to him ever again. And it's like things like that have changed my mindset just by talking to
Yeah.
other people.
And
It's crazy to me.
and that's such a hard thing about addiction too, because 100% of addictions are created to mask the pain of something else. So,
and I never thought about it like
if you
that.
watch Hoarders and My 600-Pound Life, Intervention, like if you watch any reality show that's based on those extremes and those addictions, 100% of the time it was trauma. The way my trauma manifested in me was getting into toxic relationship after toxic relationship so I could feel some kind of love.
Right. Yeah. And
And
I never looked at it like that. I never saw it like that.
yeah. Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And it's like, and at some point, like that addiction just becomes like our way of living and our habit. And the very recent thing, I'm going to say something so controversial, and that's okay. I'm going to own it because it was my truth.
Right. That's what we're
Very
here for.
recently, I just accomplished so many amazing things. My life is on the right track. And I'm like, why the hell am I so depressed? Why am I anxious? And I realized, oh my God, this is my body's natural state of being. This has become my body's habit. This has become my brain's habit.
Right.
Even though my life was amazing, I was allowing myself to stay stuck in that perpetual state of depression and anxiety because that's what I was used to.
Yeah.
And because nobody likes change, right? Even if it's positive change, our brain is very anti-change. So coming to that conclusion of being like, oh shit, like I'm the one keeping myself depressed and I'm the one who is making things go south. Not only did it give me so much more control, but it also gave me the awareness of like, you know what? This just means I have some healing I need to do.
Mm-hmm. And how did you work through that? Like, what did you do? Because I feel like that's something that so many people experience. And now that you say that, sitting here thinking about that, I'm like you just said, oh shit, is that part of my actual existence right now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of it, first things first, get the fuck out of denial and take responsibility for your own mental health. Like, that's what I had to do myself. I am practicing what I preach, and everything I teach my clients is what I experienced myself. So first things first, get the fuck out of denial. You cannot be miserable and depressed and even triggered listening to this podcast and what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I just encourage you to just be curious. Like, are you somebody who's constantly complaining? Are you somebody who's like constantly in a state of misery? Do you have the tools to get the shit done, but you keep creating excuses? Like, your excuses are going to kill you.
Yeah, I've heard that before too.
Yeah. And I had to call out a client on this on Sunday, where she has all of the tools to help herself mentally, help herself emotionally, and help herself physically, but she's not doing it. And I called her out, and I'm like, why the fuck are you making so many excuses? Like, why aren't you doing the thing? What are you getting out of being miserable? And she's like, I'm not getting anything. And how many times do we say that?
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything.
Right.
Right? That's bullshit. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. What are you getting from this situation? What are you getting from that toxic relationship? What are you getting from that bad workplace? What are you getting from the bad friendships? Like, what are you getting? Because if you were not receiving anything, you wouldn't be there. So ask yourself the hard question, first things first. And the second phase, you have to start. There's no easy way around it. You have to roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, and you're going to have to heal. You're going to have to dive into the pain, and you're just going to have to address it. There's no way around it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because I feel like everybody wants this, magical answer. Like, oh, just, pray all of your problems away. And it's like, and that's great. That's a great tool. But you have to do the dirty work and heal.
Yeah. And healing is fucking miserable. It's
awful.
So hard. It is exhausting. It is shitty. It's fucking horrible. But
it is. It is so awful.
When you get to the point where you look behind you and you're like, these people care about me, without a doubt. This person, if you have somebody standing next to you, loves me and cares about me, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I've done the hard work. You're like, I can fucking do anything.
Yes. Amen. And this is where that really cheesy quote comes in, because it's like, being miserable and depressed is hard, and doing the healing work is hard. Like, pick your hard.
Exactly. I'm telling you, when I was healing, I was more lonely and depressed than when I was depressed and lonely. But it's a whole different kind of lonely and depressed. But I got so much more out of that lonely and depressed than I did being depressed and lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a client of mine who, she is a very successful businesswoman, and she is amazing. She is one of the kindest people. She is gorgeous beyond belief. Like, she is the it girl, but her love life is shit. And
isn't that weird?
Months ago, I gave her the tools.
So weird.
No, but we all have a weakness in our lives, right? Like we all have that missing link in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I was like, I gave you the tools to help heal months ago. Why the fuck haven't you used them? And we have to ask ourselves the really hard questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same questions that I had to ask myself. Like, Elise, why the fuck aren't you doing the work that you should be doing?
Mm-hmm.
And she validated her own concern. She's like, I really enjoy being around these toxic men because I feel like if I can change them, then I'm worth something. And it's like, there you go.
Yeah. But it's like change yourself. Can you imagine how much better you would feel if you would change yourself versus change them?
And it's like, yeah, and our brains are really just like, we develop these like weird little subconscious beliefs because our subconscious doesn't think in logic. It just thinks of like, you know, arbitrary stuff, and now that becomes like our lifestyle.
Fucking subconscious.
And yeah, and she was just living like, if I can change a man from being a bad boy to a good man, that proves how valuable I am. And I'm like, honey,
listen,
no.
I always go back to that Julia Roberts quote that I saw somewhere. Like, we are not, what is it? We're not like women are not institutions to house shitty men and make them better. That's not what we're here for.
Yes.
Like, we're not your mother, we're not your maid, we're not your doctor.
No.
We're your partner.
No, ma'am.
We're your partner. We're your equal.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Period. Period. Yeah. Period. And it doesn't help when we have such toxic influences in our society. Like, look at Sex in the City. Look at Friends. Look at all of these storylines where there's the bad boy and the good woman, and the good woman is able to change the bad boy and live happily ever after, and blah, 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 blah. Right? Because it creates a good story.
Our generation got really screwed by that. I think that's why our generation has the most fucked up mental health ever.
Seriously.
Because we had, like, yes, the generations before us, like, grew up with men being like, hide your feelings, like, be a man, you know, that whole scenario thing. But, like, our generation, I feel like it was drilled so hard. And, like, I literally just talked about this with someone else on a recording that I had. But it's like, you see all these, like, younger, like, early to mid 20s, a little bit late 20s, not a whole lot, like, relationships on, like, social media, like TikTok and stuff like that. And I feel like these younger men talk about their feelings because they were kind of more raised to talk about their feelings in a way. And they have really, I mean, I don't want to say like great, amazing, healthy, you know, all the time relationships, but you see a lot more younger couples have healthier relationships because these men talk about their feelings, and they talk about, you know, and the women talk with their boyfriends about how they feel, and they just communicate better because it was shown more and it was more acceptable more recently than any other time before that. And it's like, how do these younger couples, like, how are they getting it and we can't get it together because our generation is so mentally fucked?
And look, we're human, right?
Right.
There's and we should only believe like a small percentage of social media. Like, I only have a percentage of my life together, but like there's no perfectly having your life together. Like, that is the biggest lie we tell ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, like, y'all, I know I sound really freaking smart, but I never even graduated high school. Like, at almost 30 years old, I'm working on my diploma right now. Like,
yeah. Right. But you still see, like, I think our generation just got so screwed when it comes to mental health and, like, all the things that go with it. Like, we were told to not talk about our feelings, and we just had all of these, you know, we had the coming ups of, you know, trying to figure out technology and, again, social media and all those things. And our generation just had so much trauma involved and trying to figure out the world that it's like, I mean, there's no reason we're all fucked up in the head. Like, it's just exhausting.
And you know what? This is just part of humanity. And that's why my favorite song, We Didn't Start the Fire, because humanity has been going through the same shit since humanity became conscious that they were human.
Right.
This has just been, this is just part of the other cycle. And as controversial as this is, like, I'm grateful to be part of this time right now, because now, at least for women, like, you know, we're fighting to get equal pay. We're able to start businesses. We're being taken seriously in male-dominated industries. And I feel like this is the best time for us to rise up and be like, okay, like, let's really do the dirty work now. Like, this is the best time for us.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes it gets exhausting.
Oh, yeah. No. Being a human's exhausting. Like,
yeah, right.
I don't understand the Little Mermaid and why she wanted to be with the people so much. I'm like, no, sis.
I don't know either.
Like,
and that's one of my favorite Disney movies too. Like, I'm like,
oh yeah,
bitch, I want to go in the ocean. Can I go swim with the dolphins and like the whales and the sea turtles? Like, give me a fork to brush my hair. I'm good. Like, let me go.
It's called a dingle hopper. Oh my god, Paige.
Whatever. Listen, it's a fucking fork. It's a damn fork, okay? Whatever. I just, God, I don't understand.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm really grateful that we're all getting to a place where talking about this stuff is no longer unacceptable, and where we're actively looking for this kind of stuff. For your listeners, usually I have people take my 12-week mental health makeover challenge, but I will totally be giving you guys a free tool that I give to my clients. That way you guys can start utilizing it in your daily life.
Sure.
And this has been the one that works 100% of the time when you use it.
Right.
I just want to say, when you use it,
you have to use it.
It works.
With people.
You have to do this every day in order for you to see results.
Yeah, for sure.
And this tool is actually so powerful, it's been backed by neuroscience. And it has been scientifically proven to rewire the brain.
I'm all ears.
Are you ready?
I'm all ears.
Okay, because you're gonna be like, okay.
It's probably so simple.
It's journaling. It's journaling.
But like, okay, so here's the thing. What do we journal? What do we do? What do we write? What do we talk about? Just whatever?
Exactly. Yeah. It's called, okay, so this is a tool that my coach gave to me that transformed my entire life, and now it's transforming the lives of my clients. I operate in 12-week packages, right? So 3 months, 90 days, give me that and I will change your entire life. My clients see drastic results, and they're almost completely different people by the 6-week mark.
So are we just like journaling what we did for the day or how we had a shit? Like, that's the thing. Like, I've journaled before, and it's just like I've tried to do it daily, and at some point I give up because I'm like, what am I writing about?
Yeah, exactly. And this is where you set a timer for 20 minutes a day, and you just start writing. You're going to be like, oh my God, this dumb redheaded bitch coach told me I need to start writing, and I have no idea what the fuck to even write about. Like, what does she even want me writing about?
Right.
Oh my God, I'm so bored. What's the time? Jesus Christ, I still have 19 minutes left. You know what? I really hated my dad growing up. Like, you'll be amazed.
Right here. I still have it. Here's my journal. It's right here.
You'll be amazed by what comes up in that 20 minutes.
I got this far in. I got that far in. That's all I got.
Okay, here's the key part, though. When you're done journaling for those 20 minutes, you're going to shred those pages.
No. I like shredding. That sounds fun.
Or you can burn them. Like, fucking make s'mores over them. I don't care. Yeah. But you're not keeping those papers. Oh. It does not matter what you're writing about. But especially during those times when you're really heightened in your emotions and those emotions feel bigger than your body. We all know those feelings, the panic attacks, the depression that feels like we're drowning. Start writing. But 20 minutes a day, minimum. If you go over it, fantastic.
Right, yeah, of course.
But just start with that. And I swear to God, This is the tool that rewired my brain for healthy relationships when I was only used to abuse. It helped me heal the PTSD in my body so I could finally start losing weight when I was never successful at losing weight. And it's now helping me transform my business and my finances. And it's already completely transformed my education and my learning abilities.
I've done it before. I just don't stick to it.
Okay, well, where the hell is that going to get you?
Apparently not where I need to be.
Okay, let's bring this into practicalities. How many times do you brush your teeth?
Twice a day, usually.
Okay. If you only did it, like, let's say once a week or sporadically, what would happen?
Ooh, I don't want to know.
Your teeth would be trash, right?
Yeah.
How often do you shower?
Daily.
Once a day?
Mm-hmm.
What would happen if you did it, like, sporadically, once every month, here and there?
Oh. Mm-mm.
Yeah. You need to take that same mentality for your, like, physical health and hygiene and apply it to your mental health and mental hygiene.
Yeah. I've heard that so many times. So yeah.
Because it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly where your excuses are going to kill you and keep you in that same spot that you're trying so hard to get out of.
Yeah.
If I haven't made it clear yet, I am the tough love coach.
Yeah.
Like, when people come to me, I'm going to be sure that you're not wasting your money or your time and you're going to get results.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, like, you want people to, you know, to succeed in whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when something feels so big in our bodies, like we've been depressed for years, we've been anxious for years, we've attracted the wrong relationships for years, the idea that something so simple can switch it around just sounds like there's no fucking way. There's no way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. And I'm not asking you to have any faith. I'm not asking you to believe me. You can think I'm the dumbest bitch on this planet and I don't care. Like, just start doing it.
Right.
I don't care if you have no faith left. I don't care if you believe in it or not. It's 20 minutes a day. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. I mean, 20 minutes a day is nothing compared to 24 hours.
That's an episode of Family Guy. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, there's really nothing to it. So, yeah, I mean, literally put down the TV remote for the 20 minutes and pick up a notebook and a piece of a notebook and
if
pen.
that seems so hard, and if that seems like it's so impossible to do, you really have to ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I swear, this was the tool that even helped me heal from my sexual abuse trauma.
That's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I am so huge on practicing what I preach. This is the tool that transformed my life. And this is why I'm literally spreading it around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wholeheartedly, from the bottom of my heart, believe in this.
Mm-hmm. So did you find yourself like writing about what you experienced like years and years and years ago, even just randomly?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Stuff from my childhood that I didn't realize was impacting me as an adult came up to the surface. And I had no idea that something that my second grade teacher said to me so many years ago was affecting my ability to learn and finish school now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we live our lives dictated by our subconscious brain, and you have no idea what's going on in the back there until you really start to deep dive. The only thing that we have as like a compass that something's going on in our subconscious brain are the repeated patterns in our life. If there's a repeated pattern, there's something in your subconscious brain that's causing it to happen. And quantum physics says so.
Thinking. Just thinking. Yeah. Like, you've got my brain turning.
That's good, right?
Yeah. I think so, for sure. So,
because it's like, holy shit, I don't have to live in this state of misery for the rest of my life. Like, what?
right. Yeah. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
I think the only thing I really wanted to give your listeners was hope and tools to take with them. If anybody has any questions or like, just needs a little bit of help, you can reach me on Instagram if I'm allowed to give my Instagram.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. My Instagram is at real, REAL .talk, TALK .coaching. So Real Talk Coaching, that's my Instagram. And that's really my primary source of communication right now.
Okay.
So if this resonated at all, or if somebody needs clarification or just needs help, like feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I have my 12-week mental health makeover.
Yeah.
And I really believe passionately in the healing journey. So I really hope that this helped a few people. And if people just walk away from this having hope that somebody can heal from sexual abuse. And I just want to, I don't know if anybody wants the number, but I've been raped 5 times. And it's not holding me back anymore. And I'm able to enjoy a healthy and happy relationship with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I never believed I could heal from it.
Yeah, I'll definitely put I'll put your Instagram in the show notes, and I'll put that number in there if you want to send it to me, or I can get it online, whichever. And I'll put that in there as well for people to have anything like sexual abuse related. I'll definitely put all those numbers and information in the show notes for people as well. But I've really appreciated you coming on and talking with us. Yeah, absolutely. I think,
Girl, I'm so honored to speak with you today. Thank you for having me.
Listen, taking your trauma and turning it into something to help other people is, I think, something super amazing. And that's one reason I started this. So
I think it's beautiful for you too. I'm so grateful that people like you are here and sharing and encouraging other people to share. And this is really where change starts to happen, not as individuals, but on a society level too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure you hit the follow button on whatever listening platform you are using. And head over to my social media pages and give me a follow there as well. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok at Creating Yourself Pod. And if you have a story you would like to share on this podcast, email me at creatingyourselfpod@gmail.com, or you can message me on any of my social media pages. Make sure and come back next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye.